Do you know the four great beauties of ancient China? Of course, you Dushi, Shi, Wang, Zhaojun, Daochan, and Yang Gaifei. Their stories are legendary. But have you ever heard of Cai Wenji? She's often called the fifth great talent, a woman whose life was a symphony of brilliance, sorrow, and unyielding strength. Her story is one that deserves to be told. So let's dive into the incredible life of Cai Wenji. Cai Wenji, also known as Cai Yan, was born into a world of ink brushes and scholarly debate during the late Eastern Han Dynasty. Her father was none other than the great scholar Cai Yong, and it was clear from a young age that she had inherited his genius. She wasn't just good at poetry, music, and calligraphy. She was a prodigy. Legend has it that as a child, she could tell which string of a zither was broken just by hearing a single note. Her future seemed as bright and orderly as a perfectly written scroll. But history, as it so often does, had other plans. The Han Dynasty began to crumble, and the land was torn apart by constant warfare. Amidst this chaos, the unthinkable happened. During a raid, Cai Wenji was captured by Jiannu nomadic warriors. Her life of refinement and art was violently ripped away, and she was taken far beyond the Great Wall, into the harsh, unfamiliar northern lands. For 12 long years, she lived in exile. In that time, she was forced to marry a Jiannu chieftain and bore him 2 sons. Imagine the Hardica brilliant scholar, separated from her home, her culture, and everything she had ever known. Her sorrow was poured into her music and poetry, creating some of the most heart-wrenching and beautiful works in Chinese literature, like the famous 18 Songs of a Nomad Flute back in the heartland of China. A powerful figure rose from the chaos, the warlord, Cao Cao. He had been a friend of Cai Wenji's father, Cai Yong, and deeply admired his intellect. Hearing that Cai Yong's brilliant daughter was still alive, he was determined to bring her back to preserve her family's scholarly legacy. Cao Cao sent a fortune in gold and jade as a ransom to the Jiannu chieftain. It was an offer that couldn't be refused, and so Cai Wenji was finally allowed to return to her homeland. But her return was bittersweet. It meant leaving behind her 2 sons, a part of her heart, forever in the northern grasslands. The pain of this separation would haunt her for the rest of her life. She returned to a home that was no longer the one she remembered, carrying scars that no one could see. To help her re-establish her life, Cao Cao arranged a marriage for her. Her new husband was a man named Dong Si, a minor official who was young, handsome, and full of life. But he was also impetuous and quick-tempered, a stark contrast to Wenji's quiet, contemplative nature. She was a woman who had seen the depths of sorrow and survived. He was a young man just beginning his career. Fate had woven their lives together, but what seemed like a simple, arranged marriage would soon be tested in the most dramatic way imaginable, proving that their connection was far deeper than anyone could have guessed. Not long into their marriage, Dong Si committed a crime. In the strict legal system of the time, the offense was so severe that it was punishable by death. When the sentence was passed down, it seemed that Dong Si's fate was sealed. Winter had set in, and the day of his execution was fast approaching. Cai Wenji was devastated. After all the loss she had endured, her father, her homeland, her son Shi, was now facing the loss of her husband. She refused to stand by and let it happen. In an act of incredible bravery, she rushed to Cao Cao. Cao Cao was in the middle of a grand banquet, surrounded by his most important advisors and guests. When the guards tried to stop her, she pushed past them, her voice filled with desperation. She threw herself to the floor before Cao Cao, her forehead touching the cold ground. Without rising, she spoke with an eloquence and passion that silenced the entire hall. She recounted the tragedies of her life, the pain of her exile, and the recent joy she had found in her new life with Dongxi. She argued not just with emotion, but with sharp logic. She reminded Cao Cao that he had brought her back to preserve her family's legacy, but if her husband were executed, she would be left alone again, her spirit broken. What good would her talents be then? She offered her own life, her own skills, everything she had in exchange for her husband's. The guests were stunned into silence, moved by her courage and her heart-wrenching plea. Cao Cao, a man known for his stern and calculating nature, was visibly affected. He looked at the brilliant, desperate woman before him and saw not just a scholar's daughter, but a wife fighting for her love. He granted her request, pardoning Dongxi. Cai Wenji's love, courage, and words had saved a life. From that day on, Dongxi saw his wife in a new light. He was humbled by her bravery and deeply grateful for her love. Their bond, forged in a trial of life and death, became unbreakable. Cai Wenji's story is not just one of survival. It's a powerful testament to the strength of love and the enduring power of the human spirit. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales from history. See you next time.